The true brilliance of Wandavision isn't in the effects, or the clever plots, or the original concept. It's in the fact that it tells a story that was desperately needed and expertly executed. A story of very human superhumans. Wandavision is a 2021 series produced by Marvel and directed by the prolific Matt Shakman. You might recognise his name from any of these. We're first presented with a 1950s-style sitcom starring Vision, Paul Bettany, and Wanda Maximoff, played by Elizabeth Olsen, a woman so often confused for her sister that you didn't even realise that this isn't Elizabeth Olsen, this is. Except, no it's not, this is. Except is it? I'm not going to tell you, because this is more fun. The show itself starts off as cheesy and played up almost to the point of parody, which can be a little off-putting at first, but to be honest that's kind of the point. As we move through the episodes, and in turn the decades, going from traditional sitcoms to more modern day talking head shows, complete with theme tunes and titles to match, we learn more about why everything is so played up and why so many cheesy tropes are used. We learn how the show came about, with Wanda creating her own fictional universe from the town she and Vision had planned to settle down in after her pain and grief overcomes her. After the revelation that nosy neighbour Agnes is actually the witch Agatha Harkness, which I loved by the way.
Who's been messing up everything? It's been Agatha all along.
We see her and Wanda go back to various points in her life. For Wanda, the only thing that has been ever present has been her love of sitcoms, the one constant that she can cling to when everything around her is falling apart. The stereotypical tropey shows form the basis for her new reality, and it's played to the nines. Agatha herself plays an important role as she not only provides Wanda with an adversary, she also acts as a vehicle for exposition. We get more information about why she's so powerful and what that means going forward, which sets up some amazing possibilities for new content in the future. In terms of the plot, I'm a big fan of anything meta, so the idea of a TV show about Wanda creating a TV show in which the editing, the dialogue, the casting, the transformation of objects as they go in and out of the hex
You called it the hex.
not only affects her own invented reality, but our own viewing of the outer show. It's brilliant. And while I'm here, I just want to say that they nailed each and every sitcom era. They were all impressive, but the 90s to early 2000s in particular was perfect. Having grown up in that era of television, it was like watching my old favourite shows again. The pacing, the dialogue, the editing, the camera work, everything felt genuine to the period. Outside Westview, the story centres around Monica Rambeau, Agent Wu, and the returning Darcy Lewis as they attempt to unravel the mystery of Wandavision, as well as uncovering what exactly was going on at SWORD that caused the show to be created, complete with now seemingly fully alive Vision. The three of them are great, and Kat Dennings is a joy to watch whenever she shows up. Rambeau's transformation into essentially a mutant also sets up a lot of possibilities for the future too. I'd talk more about them, but I don't want to get too sidetracked, so let's talk about Vision. As we move through the story, we're left to wonder just why Vision is alive, and how much he actually knows about the reality he's living in. Turns out, his story is almost as tragic as Wanda's. Created from her memory of him and with no life before Westview, he is simply a shadow of what he was. His journey of discovery throughout the series is one in which he slowly comes to realise that he isn't real and can't exist outside of Wanda's imagination, forcing him to confront the fact that if Westview is to be saved, he will have to die. I think what's special about this is that everything he is in this reality was created by Wanda. He was manifested into reality by the Mind Stone interacting with her memory of him, meaning that the actions he takes and decisions he makes are all from her. It truly is a testament to how much they were meant for each other and how well she knew him, that he once again chooses to allow himself to die for the good of others. She rebuilt him from her memory and from her heart and made him every bit as brave, intelligent and heroic as he was in life. His final scene, in which his journey from disembodied AI to a fully formed human being reaches its end, is a perfect send-off for him.
I have been a voice with no body. A body but not human, and now a memory made real. Who knows what I might be next?
I will never let you go, and I will never let you go. Every time under the sunshine, always trust that
I think the reason this show is so popular is because of how real it is. It seems weird to say that about a show about superpowered beings living in a fantasy world created by magic and mind control, but it is, or at least the emotions are. Wandavision is ultimately a journey into Wanda's mind as she struggles to cope with a lifetime of trauma. It does something that no Marvel film has done yet. It explores the aftermath of the huge battles, amazing set pieces, and gripping storylines that come with the MCU. Sure, we've seen other Marvel films touch on this, such as when the Avengers faced repercussions for being a huge, unchecked, destructive force with the Sokovia Accords, and we see personal loss, such as in Infinity War, but we have never had a film or a series explore the impact that being an Avenger and suffering so much loss has on a person. Superhero movies have more depth now than they did even 5 or 10 years ago, but they're still essentially focused on the tried and tested formula of good versus evil and feeling good and happy and triumphant at the end, despite what was lost in the process of getting to that point. WandaVision takes us somewhere deeper and darker. We get to see Wanda struggle with her mental health. We see her attempts to cover up and cope with grief and loss, and in the process she becomes the most relatable character in the MCU. This is a woman who lost her parents, age 10, who was experimented on by Hydra, who lost her twin brother in a fight against Ultron, who had to kill the love of her life so that he wouldn't be used as a weapon, only to see him brought back and then killed again in front of her. She suffered more than anyone could ever imagine, and yet she keeps going. But everyone has their breaking point. For Wanda, it was seeing Vision dissected in a lab, followed by the realization that everything they had planned for their future will never happen. And she snaps. But throughout the show we see her change. She starts to come to terms with what she's done and realise that she has to put it right. She starts to conquer her grief. We all remember that one line that screenwriters everywhere will be kicking themselves for not thinking of sooner, but there are so many more amazing pieces of dialogue in here. When Wanda talks about grief, we feel it as though it happened to us, and she provides the best explanation of it that I think I've ever heard.
It's just like this wave washing over me again and again. It knocks me down, and when I try to stand up, it just comes for me again. And I can't. It's just gonna drown me.
I think this is a show that was desperately needed this year. So many of us across the world are going to be going through some kind of grief, and I think this show acts as catharsis for many people. We can process our grief through Wanda. We can feel what she feels. We often use stories like this as escapism, but I think what this show gives us, it gives us something that we can relate to and that we can use in our own grieving process. When we talk about story and plot and character, there's a rule that there has to be highs and lows, and that you give your characters an arc. You drop them to their lowest point and make them overcome it. And I don't think I've ever seen a character go to a lower point than Wanda. Her final hurdle is having to realise that for the good of the people in Westview, and for her to start her healing process, she once again has to let her husband die, along with her 2 children. A woman who has lost everything she ever had in the world has to make the choice to lose her family again so that she can grow and heal. After watching WandaVision, I don't think we can discuss who the strongest Avenger is anymore. We can argue about power levels all day long, but I've never seen anyone display as much strength as Wanda.